Welcome back to the channel. Tell you what, I don't know quite what to make of that, and it's been a fair while, an hour and a half, couple of hours since England lost here at Twickenham to the All Blacks in another nail-biter. Drama at the end, a great finish, but another defeat to England. I will try and get into all of it, so welcome back to the channel, and what did you make of it? The comment section is where you can let me know your views on the game. How do you view this? If you're an England fan, is this another positive building block to where this team wants to get to, or is it a massive missed opportunity? And then likewise, the All Blacks fans that are watching, what do you make of that? Not the best performance, but they got the job done. I'll try and get through my kind of thoughts. As I say, it's impossible, I think, from an England point of view to not view this as a massive missed opportunity. Another game against the top side heading into the final quarter of the match that they were leading. They put themselves in a position to win the game and they end up losing it. And I suppose here the sickener is even more that they had opportunities to win this with the George Ford penalty, which hit the posts, and then the George Ford drop goal, which just went wide. So I feel there's a mix there. The ultimate question, I think, is what I referenced just now. It's where are you with this team? I think there will be a lot of people that will be looking at it and saying, you have to start winning. You can't keep saying, we're building, we're going to get there, if you always end up losing these tight games, which, with the greatest respect, is probably a team like Scotland, what they've done over the year. They'll get a good scalp here and there without ever fully putting a run together against the best teams in the world. This England team has aspirations of being the best team in the world, of winning World Cups. Are they on the path to do that at the moment? But then on the flip side of it, there was some great stuff in that game from England. Defensively, I thought there were moments where they were excellent. I thought they controlled large parts of it. I thought the scrum, in fact the set piece generally, was very good for parts of it, and then in particular in the scrum we saw them lose control kind of final 10-15 minutes or so. Emmanuel Faye-Ruboso has had brilliant development. Chandler Cunningham-South I thought was excellent at 6, probably wouldn't have even started if Ollie Chesham had been fit. And then you got the likes of Benner. I thought Marcus Smith had some shaky moments early on in the first half, shanked a couple of drop goals, missed touch from a penalty, but then was brilliant for the intercept and had the composure on that intercept to help England get that try. Because actually it wasn't easy. From back in their own 22, I thought his composure to get there and to have a situation that ended up getting to Faye-Ruboso where he could cross the try line was excellent. So there are green shoots all over this performance. But I think after that narrow defeat to France in the Six Nations, where they maybe coulda, shoulda won, following the narrow defeats on their summer tour to New Zealand, where in both of those test matches they coulda, shoulda won, this being a fourth game, which now means England have lost more games this year in 2024 than they have won, it just kind of leaves me thinking, where are they? I love where they've come from that Scotland game in the Six Nations. I love some of the stuff that we are seeing. I just want to see them make that next step. And what I would say is I think it just puts the pressure on for the rest of this autumn a little bit now for England. They have to beat Australia and Japan. We knew that before this game today. And now they've got to face South Africa, who I think are a much tougher test than the All Blacks at the moment. And really, I think for this autumn to be viewed as a success, they need to beat them, which is a tall order. I think they are capable of it, but I think it's a massively tall order. Final thing, though, on some positives for England. I hope this comes across as some sort of balance. I thought the defence was excellent for large periods. Their discipline, actually, I thought was sensational throughout the game. There was kind of midway through the second half, I was trying to remember all the penalties England had given away, and it was not that many at all. It was a very disciplined performance overall. And as I've mentioned already, I thought the scrum was really good for a lot of the game. Interestingly, Scott Barrett in the post-match press conference says he thought there were some dark arts going on there, and actually the All Blacks were unlucky with how that was officiated. But there you go. Let's get on to New Zealand though, because let's not forget this is a squad that last weekend they were in Japan. They've had to travel a fair old journey up to the Northern Hemisphere and deal with jet lag. They themselves are not in exactly the position they would want to be in. They had a mixed bag of results in the Rugby Championship. They're still growing and developing under Scott Robertson, and they were put under pressure by England in that second half. What was it, 22-14 at one point? To be able, away from home, to then win the game, I think is really impressive. Mark Talea, brilliant in how he took both of his tries. I know England fans will look at George Ford and his tackle there, and he was too upright. That's completely fair enough. But Talea's a brilliant finisher. And Damien McKenzie with that conversion, which was right down in front of me here on the touchline, pretty much exactly just down here, tight to the touchline, nailed the conversion to give them the lead. That is big time. That is clutch. And then the one other player that we have to mention here, which will be no stranger to All Blacks fans, but I think certainly us in the Northern Hemisphere, we don't know too much about him. In fact, I mentioned him in my preview to keep an eye on. Wallace Satiti. What an athlete he is. He bangs the offload for the first Talea try, kind of out the back, round the chicken wing, behind the back of George Furbank, was absolutely sensational. And for New Zealand now, it sets them up brilliantly, doesn't it? What a great game that could be on Friday night, them playing Ireland in Dublin. We know how good Ireland are. This is a great platform for them to try and kick on and give it a real good shot in Dublin, which will be a tough challenge. Ireland will definitely be favourites for that game. But I think you have to give New Zealand a lot of credit because, I'll be honest, I thought there were quite a lot of elements of their performance that wasn't great. Their discipline was really poor. Razor spoke about that in the post-match press conference. What was it, 3-4 penalties they gave away for tackles off the ball against England? Like, they've got to tighten up that sort of area. And there was a lot of the game I thought England controlled, but still the All Blacks got themselves the result. A few final things I just want to mention. I made a few notes here. The amount of kicking in the game, I thought particularly in that first half, it looked to me like New Zealand did not want to play with it in their own half, really. They looked for the cross-field kicks to negate some of the England blitz defence. They often kicked it away. And I think one really interesting element was the way teams can't protect the person catching the ball as much anymore. You might have heard it if you're watching on TV. You'd have heard Angus Gardner saying, let him through, allowing the chasing player to come through and compete for the ball. I thought that was a real positive. I thought we saw some really good competition in the air. I think that is a law tweak that World Rugby have got right. They don't always, so I'll give them credit when I think that they do. And I think that's also something worth keeping an eye on, because I think it is going to be a tactical development we see throughout these autumns and maybe into the future as well. The one other thing, actually, in terms of officiating, is that in stadium announcing of decisions, it was awesome. Genuinely, it was awesome. I don't know if it came across that way on the TV. It's probably a different sort of experience. But having been here, it's an absolute game changer. It makes so much sense. It makes it better. It actually makes it more dramatic. Like, there were moments towards the end of that game with big decisions getting announced and the crowd reacting to that. That, I think, is another real positive that they need to keep doing, and the referees need to be encouraged to do that as often as possible, particularly for the big decisions. I'll leave it, though, with the haka, which was the big story in the week. Joe Marler causing all sort of a stir. It set the tone for the test match that we ended up watching, I think. Teams have to be allowed to respond, and they have to be allowed to get closer. It was a great atmosphere when that happened. And I'm so glad as well that England decided to respond to it. Jamie George saying that actually it was something he's been thinking about for a few weeks. I think Joe Marler kind of not let the cat out of the bag with that one, but I don't think he did Jamie George any favours, which George referenced in his press conference as well. So I'll leave it there. Where are you with England? I'll be honest, I'm really conflicted. One part of me says if you want to be a top team, you've got to get yourselves over the line. This is the fourth match now where it's narrow margins they haven't been able to. There's another part of me that says if George Ford knocks over that drop goal at the end, this is a very different tone to this video, and those are the fine margins in sport. So is it unfair to be too critical on England? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Make sure you like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.